or not the Department of Homeland Security has been acting within its authority is a bit of a controversy. Barr accused protesters in Portland of surrounding a federal courthouse and testified that rioters and anarchists have hijacked legitimate protests to wreak senseless havoc and destruction on innocent victims.
And on the other side of things, leaders and local officials accuse federal agents of being heavy-handed and escalating tensions. So we want to talk to someone with direct experience in the department. Peter Vincent, he's a securities professional with years of inner knowledge of how DHS works.
In the last few years, especially in the last couple of months in Lafayette Park, in Washington, D.C., and much more recently in Portland, it has taken on, in my opinion, an overly politicized role in protecting the homeland. And I really feel for the really amazing men and women that make up the various law enforcement agencies, because they are being used as political pawns in a way that is not effective, not proper, and in fact is very much counterproductive to the Homeland Security mission and in no way supportive of local law enforcement in, for instance, Portland, and as threatened by the president, in other cities coming up.
Yeah, so who are these federal officers? Where do they come from?
Federal Protective Service does not have a very large group. Its numbers are quite small. So under federal law, Federal Protective Service can effectively cross-designate or deputize other federal agents and officers within the larger Department of Homeland Security to help it carry out its obligation and duty to protect federal facilities and its visitors. So now you've seen in Portland in particular, other DHS agencies like Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Border Patrol engaging in what is, in my opinion, far beyond the need to protect federal facilities, actually engaging in some cases, the suppression of vital free speech and assembly rights.
Yeah, when you say it's politicized, can you dive deeper into that?
Right. It's not just my opinion. If you take the president at his word, he has indicated that he is looking to take federal authorities to other cities in the United States that are having protests against racial injustice and over the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. And so what he has done is essentially taken an apolitical Homeland Security, national security agency, and he has threatened to use them in democratically led cities, according to his own words, his own tweets, which is an entirely improper use of any federal agency.
Is there any recourse that these cities have that they can really push back on besides a lawsuit? Is that what they have to do, is sue in order to get the federal officers to leave, or what can they do?
It's an absolutely fantastic question. The state authorities and the municipal authorities in Oregon and Portland have made it very clear that they neither need nor they want Department of Homeland Security officials or any other federal agents or officers in their city. They have argued persuasively that, in fact, the presence of the federal authorities has done nothing more than exacerbate an already very volatile and emotional situation there near the federal courthouse. Other cities, under the threat by President Trump to include Chicago, for instance, and Detroit and Philadelphia, have likewise told the federal government that they do not want nor do they need their presence in their respective cities.
One thing I feel like we've kind of skimmed over is actually your background and why you're such an authority on this. Can you tell our viewers a little bit more?
Sure. I started my public service career with the Department of Justice shortly after the 9/11 attacks. And the Department of Homeland Security was created pursuant to the Homeland Security Act of 2002, and it really became operational on March 1st, 2003. I was with one of the agencies that was brought over to the new Department of Homeland Security. It was one of 22 agencies, and I was a prosecutor for the Department of Homeland Security, specifically for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in immigration court. So I was literally there on day one. And I worked closely with my colleagues in a bipartisan manner to enforce immigration law, to identify threats to our community, whether they were serious criminals or national security threats, and to remove them from the country. I later then went back to the Department of Justice, where I proudly served at the U.S. Embassy in Bogota, Colombia for a few years. And then I was brought back by President Obama and became part of the Obama administration, back with my former agency, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, within DHS, and was the general counsel of the legal program in Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is massive, has over 1,000 immigration prosecutors and another 500 or so very important mission support. So for me, this is personal. I was there from the start in a nonpartisan way. I served proudly with the Obama administration most recently. So I've seen how it's become, the department has become so much more politicized in a way that is really ineffective and inappropriate.
What do you think that we're going to see in the coming days, weeks, and possibly months with the situation that we're seeing unfold with these federal officers entering these cities?
We will see more protests that are not only directed at racial injustices in our country and the murder of George Floyd, but that against the presence of U.S. federal agents and officers in cities, to include places that President Trump has threatened, Chicago, Philadelphia, and others. I hope that the Department of Homeland Security follows the lead of the Department of Defense, which now has recognized that it acted inappropriately in clearing peaceful protesters from Lafayette Park in front of the White House some weeks ago, and has now backed off and has said to the president and to the country that this is not a proper role for Department of Defense officials. I hope that the leadership at the Department of Homeland Security pushes back on the president.
Thank you, Peter Vincent, a global security, counterterrorism, and international affairs lawyer who served as a senior official with the Obama administration. We really appreciate your time and your insight.
Thank you so much.